Hey everybody, Bobby Cannon back with you again. Starting the second part of my podcast series here, or I shouldn't say second part, just the second one I'm doing, entitled Data Centers and How They Work and Questions and Aspects of Different Ones. And today I'm going to talk to you about dedicated servers and VPS servers, which also kind of covers cloud servers as well. A lot of people come to me a lot of times say, "Hey Bobby, are all dedicated servers created equal?" And I have to say, somewhat yes and somewhat no. The biggest thing you have to look at with dedicated servers is what kind of specs you're getting with them, and just about any site out there that does anything with dedicated servers has fully customizable options, and you can pretty much customize them however you want to do it, and pretty much add like any kind of operating system, amount of RAM you want in them, anything you want done with it. So let's touch base on this a little bit, and kind of go into the more granular details of what this is. A dedicated server is not, I would say, not something that a large corporation that already owns a good bit of servers is looking for as far as that. Dedicated servers are more geared for small business owners who have an idea or have a website or have some kind of small business that they're trying to launch, but they do not have the ability to go out and spend $3,000 on a server, another couple $1,000s or whatever it is on software, and then database software and licensing, and then another $500 or so for co-location with that. So what dedicated servers do is they give you the ability to start off at a pretty a good monthly rate, a pretty low monthly rate, and build from there as far as that's concerned. A lot of the dedicated servers I see come in through our doors are, small businesses wanting to run, simple web applications, email servers, even gaming servers. A lot of gaming stuff going on nowadays. I'm actually a gamer myself, so I know all about that. But we do have a lot of those come in, and we build the servers to spec. Another good thing about dedicated servers is there are some companies out there that they will charge you setup fees and this, that, and the other. But hey, it's to each their own. At Capital or NetStream Communications, Capital Internet, everything like that, we don't charge you a setup fee. You configure your server, you build it, you put whatever you want to as far as spec wise is. Right now, if you go to our calculator or quoting engine as we call it, hostingcalculator.net, you'll actually see an option there for dedicated servers. You can click on it. I think I've got about 7 of them listed. Right now they're all Intel based. I will be adding AMD based ones here probably within the next couple weeks, if not sooner. But anyway, so you can go there and you can actually go through and choose what dedicated machine you want. I've got stuff starting from as small as an Intel Atom all the way up to dual Xeons with HT chips in them and everything else. RAM wise, you can start off with the basic options of 2 gig and expand it all the way up to however much RAM memory you want to put in it. Hard drives are the same, RAID controllers for the redundancy in the disk, however you want to do it. So you do have that ability to fully customize the machine how you want. Now, I do get a lot of people that come on there on the site and they'll customize something and then they'll leave a comment in the comment field and say, "Hey Bobby, this is really what," or say, "Hey, this is what I'm really looking for, these kind of specs, this is what I had before, this is what I currently have, what kind of pricing can you get, can you beat it, la la la." And typically on the average, I can. So again, dedicated servers, I wouldn't say are geared for like the big company that already has a lot of servers, unless you're looking for something for like offsite backup or offsite replication. Then that might be an option for you as well. The good thing about dedicated servers also is, let's say you live in New Mexico and you're seeing a lot of people hit your website or buy something from you on a dedicated server or even a physical co-location server that are on the East Coast. So you might say, "Hey, to better serve those customers on the East Coast, I'm going to put a server over on the East Coast and let them hit it from there." So what this gives you the ability to do is go and get a dedicated server, load it up and then put it on there. And so now you're geographically diverse. You've got a server there serving your East Coast customer base, and then you've also got your server there serving your West Coast customer base. So dedicated servers don't have to be located in the same state or even for that matter in the same region where you live. And sometimes this might benefit you to the point of, hey, more of my customers on the East Coast than they are on the West Coast, but I live in California, so let me put one over in Atlanta. The other good thing about it is, it's a leased option. You rent it from us. Again, there's no upfront cost for you out of it. You just pay a monthly that just is billed monthly through there, and away you go. So that's pretty much what dedicated servers are basically about. So let's shift gears now and move over to the VPS servers, or virtual private servers, is they're more commonly referred to. The thing with virtual private servers, and I'm going to kind of group these a little bit with cloud because they are essentially one in the same. There's a lot of people speculating on what cloud actually is. I have yet to find a true definition out there that what cloud actually is. I know there's a lot of cloud providers. You got the Amazon EC2 stuff that is cloud. And the only thing I can really distinguish between the two is cloud is more of, you've got the hourly lease that you can do on a cloud server. I don't know of anybody out there that leases a server for 2 or 3 hours, so I really don't know what the option of that is. I do understand that the cloud is supposed to be able to give you the option to increase your performance of the machine, whether up the memory, up the hard drive space, stuff like that. And to be honest with you, a VPS server can do that as well with a simple reboot. I mean, it's very simple to do that. For instance, everything we run here at NetStream is all our VPS servers are ran off using the VMware platform. And basically, I take a big server and load it up, and I just max it out with everything I can max it out. I max the hard drives out, I max the memory out, I max the processors out, I max everything out. So, my typical VPS server will probably consist of, a two quad-core Xeon processors with HT that give me essentially 16 virtual cores. So it gives me 16 processors. I'll max it with 48 or 96 gig of RAM, and I'll max the hard drives out with 2-3 terabyte drives, and then put it in a machine. Now, I think this is where the disconnect comes from with cloud and VPS, and people trying to distinguish the differences between them. And to be honest with you, I mean, I've been in this business 13 years, and I'm even having problems distinguishing which is which. I mean, I understand the theory of cloud, hey, put everything in the cloud, but let's be honest, everybody. We've all used the cloud, ever since the internet's been around. Just really think about that here for a second, because, I mean, if you've got a Yahoo account, your email's in the cloud. If you do online banking, you're paying your bills in the cloud. If you're doing anything and you're using Google Docs, guess what? All your documents are in the cloud. The cloud consists, if you ever look at a Visio diagram, or anytime somebody diagrams something, whenever they diagram it with the internet is a little cloud diagram. So the internet and the cloud are the one and the same. So if you're using a service online, i.e. email, Google Docs, something like that, guess what? You've been in the cloud, and you've been in the cloud for a while. So let's kind of put those two together for the time being. When somebody actually throws me a definition of what actually, hey, no, Bobby, this is cloud and this is VPS, then I'll split the two up. But for right now, for the purposes of this podcast, I'm going to put them together. So again, we use the VMware platform. It gives me more options. I can partition a server very quickly. I can, if somebody calls me up and says, hey, I ordered this VPS with 2 gig of RAM. 2 gig of RAM's not going to cut it. I need 4. It's a simple reboot, up the memory in it, and then, hey, you got 4 gig of RAM. Your machine keeps running, no problems. There you go. Or you call and say, hey, I need more hard drive space. Same thing, simple reboot. We have the more hard drive space. You're good to go. The thing with VPS servers / cloud servers is they are cheaper than the dedicated servers because it is a virtual private server, meaning it's virtually privatized. You have your own little section on that VM server, but I can add more clients on that server, meaning, with a typical machine, let's say if they're all single core processor machines, I can put 16 clients on that machine. Granted, I have enough resource allocation to do that. So to you, you're getting a cheaper aspect versus a dedicated server, but you are sharing a server with 14 or 15 other people, and that's just the way it goes. That's the way everybody in the industry does it. I don't care if they say, oh no, if you get a VPS, it's your own server, you're by yourself. I will call you out on that, and yes, say, show me that, prove it to me, Because I tell you right now, if they open up their little ESXi vSphere client manager or whatever they're using, whether it be Zen or whatever, I guarantee if you open that up, you'll see a lot more servers on there than just yours. So you've really, I mean, and that's fine. I mean, that's not a problem. Nobody can hack. Nobody's going to be able to hack into your server just because you're sharing a server with somebody else. It's just basically load balancing the resources off that machine and drawing it out in the data center world, so that way it's it's profitable versus, hey, if I buy a machine that's got all the bells and whistles in it, but I put one client on that machine, the return on investment doesn't make any sense. So you've got to really look at that aspect of it as well. So, based on what you're looking to run, I mean, if you're wanting something where you're going to run, a standard SQL database with, that's just going to sit there and hit SQL, or if you're going to run Exchange, I mean, Exchange is very intense. I mean, typically everything I've done, I've never put Exchange. I've done some testing with Exchange on a VPS, and it's ran okay. But typically with Exchange, people tend to gear toward a dedicated server just because it is more intense. It's very processor and memory hungry. So typically everybody moves over to the dedicated side for that. I'm not saying it can't run on a VPS/cloud server, because it possibly could. You never know. But let's get down to the brass tacks of it. It depends on how much money you have budgeted to do this. I mean, if you're a small company just starting up, and you're going in saying, okay, we just got to get a web presence going, guys. We've got to get our name out there to start generating leads, start generating some sources, start generating some revenue to start off with. I mean, to be honest with you, if I was in that scenario, I would probably end up opting for a VPS dedicated server, because then, you start off at a very low monthly. You can start off with, all the bells and whistles. You can start off with, multiple cores, whatever, and it's going to be cheaper than trying to go and buy a dedicated server at the same spec. So the VPS side is pretty good, and it'll get you going. It'll get you started. A lot of game server companies out there do the same thing. They'll buy a really large server, pack it full with bells and whistles, and a lot of the game server companies, to be honest with you, except for a couple, actually, lease dedicated servers from somewhere out there, and they'll load this thing up, and their bill might be, $1,000 a month, but then they'll slap, 15, 20 game servers on this thing, at 40 or 50 bucks a month, and it starts paying them. Over time, it pays them back. So you look at the aspects of that and see how it's ran. And actually, a lot of the stuff out there nowadays, looking back at it, if you take the time to look back at it, a lot of the things out there ran VPS. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I haven't really seen anything extraordinary about it. I mean, it's a great model for startups and everything, trying to get a web presence going, or get an email, get your email up and everything. And again, VPSs load the same way dedicated servers load. You can choose your OS, you can choose the memory, you can choose the core, whatever you want to choose, and it's on there, and you're good to go. So again, if somebody can actually explain, hey, this is actually what the cloud is. I know somewhat, hey, the cloud is, you can increase your stuff on your own, or you can do this or you can do that, and that's fine. I mean, I know VMware's got a great product out there for the guys like us called vCloud Director, where it lets you do that and everything, and that's fine. That's golden. The thing is, it's just sometimes it's more cost effective. It's just not cost effective to go that route. And so, you find a lot of people out there running like ESXi, which is a free version of the hypervisor that VMware uses. And actually, we offer that on our dedicated server as an OS, as a load. If you want that, you can configure your server, and we'll actually load ESXi on there for you, and you can build as many virtual machines as you want on that one server. Granted, with the resources you have and everything else. So, it works pretty well in that aspect of it. But again, hey, if you have any questions or anything, please don't hesitate to email me, bcannon@netstreamcom.net. I'll answer any questions you've got. Hopefully this has been an informal podcast to let you know, the differences and the aspects of helping you choose whether or not you're going to go the dedicated server route or the virtual private server route. And again, stay tuned. I got a lot more podcasts. I got a lot more things kicking around in my head that I'd like to get out there on the web and share with everybody. And again, come to our site. I'd be more than happy to set you up. Capitalinternet.com or 470exchange.com. Just give me a ring or give me an email, and we'll see what we can do. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.